Welcome everybody to Bible Bites. I'm Pastor Dan and we are reading to the Bible one small bite at a time. In our previous video we began Matthew 23, read verses 1 through 12. Jesus is addressing the religious and political leaders of his day, particularly upset with them because they are causing many people to stumble as they are seeking for God. They're putting the rules of men in their way. They're trying to they're portraying a wrong focus about what God really wants and what is actually important to God. So Jesus focuses on some very specific things that they're doing, just wrong motivations and thinking all the way around. And it's impacting everyone, right? So their witness of what they do is as strong, as powerful as their witness of what they're saying. And what they're saying is often not wrong. Jesus admitted that. What they say is, some of their teaching is actually good, but what they're doing does not match up with that. They're hypocrites. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces, for you neither enter yourselves nor allow those who would enter to go in. You get the picture of a door, right, being shut in people's faces. And that's a picture of what the religious leaders and political leaders of his day were doing. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you travel across sea and land to make a single proselyte. And when he becomes a proselyte, you make him twice as much a child of hell as yourself. Proselyte was a non-Jewish person who would embrace Judaism. And again, they made Judaism, they made this worship of God all about a focus on man, not about a focus really on God and what God actually required and wanted. They caused many to stumble because what they say God wanted was so hard for people to accomplish. In fact, really they couldn't, but yet the Pharisees made it look like that they were accomplishing all these things, when in fact they actually weren't. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, if anybody swears by the temple, it is nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound by his oath. You blind fools, for which is greater, the gold of the temple that has made the gold sacred? Which is greater, the gold or the temple that has made the gold sacred? So again, just a wrong focus here. They make it as though if people are going to make an oath before God, right, that it's so important about what they make that oath upon. But the truth of the matter is, what they make the oath upon is not nearly as important as the fact that they're just coming before God. God is the central person here. And Jesus would in another place say, let your no be no, your yes be yes. So what you're making an oath upon is not so important, but God is the most important. And we see that here. Let's keep going. And you say, if anyone swears by the altar, it is nothing. But if anyone swears by the gift that is on the altar, he is bound by his oath. This may be sort of a distinction here because some people had a hard time affording expensive gifts to put on the altar, while others could afford those expensive gifts. And these religious political leaders would make a distinction about that. Again, just stinking thinking. You blind men. Which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? So whoever swears by the altar swears by it and by everything on it. Whoever swears by the temple swears by it and by him who dwells in it. And whoever swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and by him who sits on it. So those last two verses really point to the fact that you are talking to God. God hears your words, and what you say to God is what matters most. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin and have neglected the weightier matters of the law. Here's what they're neglecting: justice, mercy, faithfulness. Ouch. That's huge. That's the way in which you live your life out, right? You live it out in justice and mercy, faithfulness to God. I mean, geesh. These are the things they're missing. Tithing is just giving God 10% of something. So they would give God 10% of what they were growing in the gardens and making it look all good and like they're so devout and righteous. And Jesus says, these you ought to have done without neglecting the others. So yeah, be generous. Give God 10%, but don't neglect what God wants most of all: justice, mercy, faithfulness to Him. Right? Because true devotion to God is faithfulness and loyalty to Him. And loving Him with all that you are, loving others. But the religious political leaders of his day completely missed that. You blind guide, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. So again, they're the small things they focus on, but they miss the big things that are most important. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. So this is referring to themselves. They make the outside look good, right? Look how devout we are. Look how much we sacrifice for God. And yet inside, their motivations of their hearts are gross. They're not clean. They're impure. You blind Pharisees. First clean the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside also may be clean. So focus on your motivations, the motivations of your heart, the attitudes of your heart. Take captive those thoughts which are not pure and clean. Address those first. All right. In our next video, we'll pick up here in verse 27. Till then, be blessed.